Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we're back. Yes, time flies when you're having fun. Guys, we are talking about home security, the holidays, getting ready for the holidays, and that's something that not everybody thinks about. You're all running around buying presents and stuff, gearing up for the friends and relatives to come over, and it's a vulnerable time of the year. It's a time of break-ins and all that sort of thing. As we mentioned earlier, it's not something you think about until it's too late. We've got a crew of people here today, experts in their fields. We've got home security, and we've got photography up next here. You wouldn't think photography, home security. Yes, those things go together. But as all things Rat Pack, we have an expert in the field, and we're going to talk about something really unique and one of those things that you just don't think about as a homeowner, and that's documenting your valuables. Mike Stolte. I said it right.
Yes.
You did. Thank you.
But, a double-edged, there's two pieces of what Michael does. And I want to be able to talk about both of them. Because, one of the things that I always object to of anyone who goes through the MLS and they're looking at million-dollar homes, and all of a sudden they look at this fuzzy picture that's kind of yellow. And from a consumer standpoint, they'll move on to the next thing. And it's so important for everyone to understand out there, if you're hiring a realtor and you're selling them, regardless of what you're selling, get a professional photographer to come take those pictures. Good grief.
Experts work with experts.
Put down your cell phone, real estate agents.
Put down your cell phone
down.
And anyway, so I don't want to miss that aspect of it, but I think it's what you do, and you were starting to talk about it before the show, is kind of how you work with homeowners and insurance companies. So kind of talk about that.
That's correct. It's called digital insurance documentation, and basically what this does, it's really a security blanket. We think of break-ins and thefts and whatnot, and we're talking about home safety, but in all reality, you have fires, you have water damage, you have floods, you have natural disasters. Even in the Houston area, houses get destroyed.
There's floods in Houston?
No, never.
Really?
Come on.
But basically what we do in a nutshell is we'll go in and we'll digitize all of your important possessions, whether it be heirlooms, silver, jewelry, gun collections, your TVs. And what happens is we have to deal with insurance companies. And the homeowner sometimes will forget, oh, well, I had this or I had this. When you have a break-in, your mind is not thinking what has been stolen. Your mind is racing in 500 different directions.
Yeah, I've been violated.
Honey, save the vintage 8-track ABBA collection.
That's right.
So, it's a lot, right? It's a lot more than just going in with a camera and taking some snapshots. Because what we do is we do, of course, use a camera. We also use panoramic images as well. So 360-degree panoramic images. You can be able to view this virtually online. It's there forever. You can see where things were. Oh, yeah, I missed that, and it's not there anymore, or whatever the case may be. If you've had pipes burst, I know a real estate agent right now that she went out of town for a week, and for one solid week, a commode destroyed her house in Glenlock.
Well, that sounds very familiar.
So
4 days at the beach while a commode was running at my house.
Exactly. And it starts from upstairs, not on the ground level. You're at the top, water flowing down out of the house. Things are destroyed.
Number one rule of plumbing. Water rolls downhill.
Exactly. One of the things that we can do is when the homeowner sits down with the insurance agent, say, here's what it is. Here's the current value, when I had this done. And this is going to help the insurance agent as well because it's all digitized on a high-res DVD. You can get up to 5 copies. We start out on a basic home with basic stuff, about $500 to do that.
Holy cow! It's just funny how radio works, right? I talked to Mike now.
This is working, huh?
I talked to Mike, and let me just back up. I was having an event, and I needed a photographer for the event, and it had one.
And by the way, you made me look good, Michael.
Yes, and just on an emergency kind of status, I had to put the word out that I needed a photographer. He came highly recommended. Checked out his work, and while we were talking on the phone, he mentioned this. I said, "Holy cow! We're having a home security show. You need to be on it." And now sitting here listening to this exact scenario, I had a toilet tank upstairs that just said, this whole tank thing is overrated. I'm tired of holding water. I want to be a vase.
So how'd that work out?
Yeah. So for 4 days, the water ran, from upstairs to downstairs, and it just happened to run straight through the ceiling, down over the antique curio cabinet that my wife's grandmother had given her.
Oh, my.
That was full of her collection of Barbie dolls. And these are, some of them were 20 plus, 30 years old, in boxes, all those sort of thing, and she had like 50 of them in there. We had to go through and take pictures of them, look them up on the internet, all the stuff he's sitting there talking about, and I didn't even think about that until he mentioned the water break.
That's right.
And I'm going, oh my God, that was like 2 days of work. It was a nightmare. And wow. I should have hired you back then.
So, Michael, you chronologue everything?
We chronologue the most important things. I mean, we're not going to say, okay, your custom kitchen cabinet that you put in, that's going to be kind of put with your homeowner's insurance. Because even though everybody has to go get homeowner's insurance, it's not going to really cover all your personal stuff. You get it once, and then guess what? You're adding, and you're adding, and you're adding. You get a new table. Do you go back to your insurance agent? Hey, I got a new table. It's valued at this. We want to make sure it's under the blanket. You're going to get only so much dollars per those items. Yeah. But with us, we document it. We research it. We get you the best fair market value for that at the current time with dates. So when something does happen, you have it all right there on a DVD. If you lose the DVD, just give me a call.
Yeah,
I'll burn you another one.
Put it in the cloud too.
I mean,
put
we
it
are
up in
not
Dropbox and leave it there.
We're not going anywhere. We are here to service our clients for the long haul.
Exactly, and of course we'll be talking with Jason Jimenez Jason Jimenez Insurance about some of this stuff, and he can attest to the difficulty it is to make a claim when you have no thing that you like. Oh yeah, I really did have that.
Right.
That rare Renoir, and it's burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a lot of things that either if you have a fire, I mean, you can't go back and go, oh, well, what did I have? It's burnt. It's
and memory too. Just trying to remember all that stuff.
Right. And you're having to deal with getting everything in line with the insurance agent, and then you're going to miss something.
Yeah. And Joe had a recent experience about remembering things because he went out and cleaned out his garage this last week.
Yes.
Did you remember he had all that stuff?
Yeah.
He did have that
How many
birthday yesterday.
eight bags of stuff? Oh, yeah, by the way, happy birthday.
Thank you.
45 years young.
That's correct. I have, and the wife and kids listen to the show every week, which I am still amazed by.
Yeah, and,
but,
and Kim, somehow or another, I am going to work in that, you could get a new house with a 3-car garage, and which would rectify a lot of those issues you're having about having to get rid of stuff, having that, little gym inside the garage and all that stuff. So I'll work that in somewhere. I just did.
Give the wife, yeah, exactly. I'm like, sly again. Every show we're talking about Joe getting a new house here because, I made the mistake of mentioning at one point that we're, going to be looking. So anyway, coolest wife on the planet with the kids. They cleaned out the whole garage and turned it into a gym. So there's my shameless plug for the wife and kids.
But the point being is that you start going through stuff, and I do it all the time, because I've got a lot of collectibles and things like that I have in boxes.
Exactly.
I don't remember any of that stuff. So
we have things
time to purge.
We have things in our attics, in our garages, in boxes. I mean, I was watching TV the other day, and they had this junk collector, and he walked into this person's house, and they found $1,000 U.S. bonds. And the value was probably $320,000, and they only had like 11 of these.
Won't be finding that at my house. I've already looked.
Yeah, I was like,
man, tear my garage apart looking for those.
Right. But this is something that I forged a relationship with a company called Realtor Vision back in 2006, and this is something that is part of their arsenal. That as a real estate photographer dealer with Realtor Vision, we can now offer digital insurance documentation. We can now offer beyond the scope of just real estate photography.
Yeah, I think that's a really important. Again, the chronicling pieces, and it can be very tedious, especially when you're talking about something that has a lot of collectibles, like the 50 Barbies. That's 50 different values out there, because I know some of them can go for tens of thousands of dollars, and some can go for 50 cents.
Right.
So you got to have to identify it and maybe even have them somehow or another legitimatized.
We had $30 Barbies and we had $300 Barbies.
Yeah, I mean, so that type of stuff, if you don't have that information, that's a loss. And of course, if you have rising waters, that's all bets are off anyway, because FEMA pays off very differently than.
Well, and there was an aspect. It was legitimately kind of a little interesting moment for me thinking about that, because there was an aspect of the value of those things are related to the original condition of them, and so having to show a box in good condition and all this sort of thing, and now it's just been damaged by water. And so having the picture before and after would be a really beneficial thing.
If you had them in boxes, you had a loss. And, of course, if you don't have a photo of it, the adjuster is going to look and go,
it is really hard for the adjuster to take your word. They need physical proof.
And you really can't blame them. I mean, I'm sure there's probably a lot of insurance fraud out there. And, Jason, you may have some stats on that. But, people will want to get as much as they can for the stuff that they've lost.
Right.
But you've got to be able to somehow or another verify that you have. That's 2 minutes, Joe.
2 minutes, yeah. 2 minutes. That's what he means by two fingers.
Our producer's putting up, we've got 2 minutes to our break. And
I thought he was throwing a gang sign. I was about to show him my colors.
Yeah, oh, my. So let's talk about the aspects of starting
Mike and I are
going to
throw down.
Yes, the process of starting with somebody. You're consulting with them, and
Sure.
you just say, look, we need to hit your main items. I mean, you're talking about there's different levels of service, so talk about that a little bit.
When we have that first consultation, either on the phone or in person, one of the things that the homeowner needs to take in effect or in account is what are the high-priced items that you want digitally documented.
Scheduled items also.
Scheduled items that you want to digitally document that's going to be, let's face it. You buy a flat screen TV, in 5 years there's going to be a new one. You're going to get a new one. You can always call us back out. We can always update the DVD, always update the panoramic images. But one of the things that we go through and say, okay, what are your priority list or items that you need to digitally document? And then we go from there, take pictures, do the research, put it all together in a nice little PDF spreadsheet, pop it on a DVD, and they get several copies of that. So, number one, they can keep it in their post office box, type thing, security box at the bank, on their computer, wherever, and give a DVD to your insurance agent.
Mike, we are already coming up against a break. So
really, this time.
I want to make sure that folks know how to get a hold of you for this really cool service.
Sure. My name is Mike Stolte, owner and main photographer for Michael's Photography Studio. You can reach me online at www.michaelsphotographystudio.com or give me a call, 832-247-0634.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.